Now, we have a new artist opening up shortly across the road, and we have Maria Atanacković on the line. Maria, you're most welcome.
Hiya, thanks for having me.
Now, I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but anyway, we've done our best.
You did pretty well.
We'll try again later. Listen, I want to thank you again for coming on the line. I know you're a busy lady. Like I said, your exhibition is due to open next week across the road here in Draíocht, so I want to thank you for coming on the line. Maybe just to start off with, maybe if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became an artist.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm based in Dublin 15 and I work across, I'm a multidisciplinary artist, so that means that I work across different processes. I work across printmaking, assemblage and digital making. And I'm a member of Graphic Studio Dublin there on the North Circular Road, which is Ireland's oldest, the most established print studio. So I make a lot of my prints there because with printmaking you need a lot of specialist equipment. So your average person or your average studio wouldn't have that. So how much do you want to know about my background?
Well, I know the danger of, as you said, the opening question. But I suppose maybe, I mean, you've kind of answered it partly there, like, because obviously there's a lot of different ways of doing art. And I suppose what you just explained there, like that you have a particular emphasis on certain type of art in the making.
Yeah, like I work, like I make prints, like, and you'll see my show that there are some screen prints, but there's also pieces that I've made on linen. So I work with textiles in my practice, and also there's pieces that I've made with wood and this laminate called Formica, which adds colour. So I don't really stick to one process. I like to use lots of different processes, but my background is actually in textiles, and that's what I studied. I lived in London for about 10 years, and I studied over there. And but then I kind of gave art a little break for a while, because when you finish college, it's really hard to, afford to be an artist, because you have to rent a studio space. Yeah. You're young. So I ended up kind of falling into just working part-time just to pay my bills. And it wasn't really until I moved back to Ireland and had a child, and then COVID happened. It wasn't really until I lost my sort of day job during COVID that I sort of decided that I would sort of go back and try and, focus on it, because you kind of do really have to focus on it. So I'm kind of just a COVID artist.
Well, it's funny. I know people talk about negativity about COVID, but sometimes there's some positive stories about, as you said, people maybe because they were confined and they were limited, maybe rediscovered themselves or rediscovered other skills that they had, and then when COVID was over, a lot of people changed jobs and found new careers, and maybe again, as you just said, went back to what they were originally maybe meant to do.
Totally. I think for me, it just sort of made me realise that you just don't know what's going to happen in life or in the world. So why not kind of do that thing that you thought you couldn't do, because so much is out of our control. And also it did give me the time to, be able to, I joined a print studio at Fine Print, and I started printing on paper because my background is in textiles. And it was all very transferable, the skills. Mm-hmm. And, I kind of had the time to do that in a way that maybe I wouldn't have before, because, I couldn't work. My job didn't exist anymore. So there wasn't really that whole guilt or, that pressure, I should be working, because there wasn't a job for me. So it was quite almost like a weight off my shoulders. And then I just haven't stopped. I never went back to my job. I just kept on going.
There you go. And now you are where you are here with a new exhibition going to open next week. I mean, the theme is this, it's a new body of work, obviously, and it's exploration of spatial relationships. So is there an easy way to explain that, or?
Is there? Okay, an easy way to explain it. Well, it's my first solo, so and on show will be work made with paper or prints on paper, wood and fabric, and I use shapes and layers to explore how we move through and understand spaces. I'm really interested in colour, in composition, in form. And a lot of my pieces are very, very structured. So I'm not really concerned with textures. I'm more concerned about relationships of, relationships with spaces and places. But it's a really, really colourful, fun exhibition. So it's suitable, I would say, like it's suitable for everything. Everyone, I think kids would love it because there's so many different things going on. There's lots of different, there's paper, but then there's wood, there's different surfaces. So yeah, like it's definitely a very fun and playful exhibition, I would say.
And I suppose, you were mentioning there about artists and the difficulty. I mean, God knows it's not an easy thing to do, like to be an artist in any format. But I suppose particularly for artists, because obviously you need space to work in, and obviously in a secure space and a safe place where you can set up. And I think in recent years that's got more difficult. I mean, you were just kind of touching upon it there. I'm just wondering, in terms of the whole accommodation thing, commercial thing, buildings being taken over, and maybe artists being displaced.
Yeah, it's a huge, huge problem for artists, apart from, the cost of the studio, which, we have to pay for on top of our regular housing costs. There just are none. There's such a shortage. And there's a lot of the studios that are available or that, we end up in aren't really suitable. They might be in warehouses that have no heating, so they're not suitable in the winter. So, yeah, a lot of artists emigrate, a lot of artists give up. If artists are lucky enough, this is kind of my dream, to have a garden and build a little kind of a studio in the garden, because then at least, nobody can come and tell you, can come and take it off you. But yeah, a lot of studios have closed down, are closing down, and they are harder and harder to find. And it's really, really hard. And not to mention studio costs, additional challenges for artists are, there's a high cost of materials. There is also a lot of exploitation, like artists being expected to work for free, the cost of exhibiting, of framing. So it's a really, really challenging at the moment, and also competition. For bursaries and grants, there are bursaries and grants available from some local councils and from the Arts Council, but there's so many of us applying for them. So it's becoming increasingly challenging. But then maybe on the flip side, with the internet and social media and websites, we can kind of sell work ourselves, whereas before, we had to rely on galleries. So maybe, I'm not sure if in that respect things have got better, but maybe it's becoming easier to sell our work ourselves.
Yeah, just kind of go.
Maybe.
Maybe. Well,
Maybe.
There's always hope. Just say maybe. But I suppose, as you said, it's one thing to have the space to actually create the art and the work. It's another thing then, as you mentioned, about showing it and finding an exhibition space. And I suppose that's why we come back to Draíocht, that, I mean, having the gallery space there and being able to show the work and how much that means to artists.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. I wouldn't have thought a year ago that I would be exhibiting in a space like Draíocht. It's an amazing space. There's been so much support from Draíocht. And I'm just, I think there's so much traffic that goes by it. You can see it from the outside. So, yeah it's absolutely amazing. It's an amazing opportunity for me. I have to pinch myself sometimes. That is so much Draíocht. Yeah. So it's really brilliant. And I think, if only there was more opportunities like that for us artists, it would be amazing. But we just have to be thankful for the ones that we get.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I just said, Draíocht has been with us now. I think it's be celebrating its 25th anniversary next year. And obviously when it was set up and designed, it was a bit of thought put into it, between the theatre, the open spaces, and then obviously having the gallery. And of course, it's outreach in the community and amazing work that it does there all the time. But as you said, then it's just offering that space and the opportunity, and you've got a length of time to show your work. And of course, then you've got people coming in and out who may not necessarily, be interested in art, or maybe just going in to buy a ticket. But because the gallery is right there in the foyer and the big window, as you said, it can draw people in who maybe before weren't really thinking about looking at art or have an interest.
Definitely, and I think it's art. I really believe that art is for everyone, and it shouldn't be this kind of really exclusive hidden away in these galleries that like maybe some people would feel intimidated going into, you know, some of these other galleries. So I think it's really, really accessible. And there's actually, just to mention, there's also going to be a response on to my show. I was going to come to that, you know, about, that's kind of an engagement program, is it, with young people? Yeah, so it's actually launching on this Saturday, the 7th of June, and to coincide with Crunan and O, which is the Day of Creativity for young people. And it's going to be like a creative response to my exhibition. So there's going to be, throughout the summer actually, there's going to be a series of workshops for young people. Some will be for toddlers, some will be for kind of middle-aged children. I think that's like maybe 7 to 12, and then for, you know, teens. And if you go onto the Draíocht website and look under the what's it called, shapes and structures, you can see the workshops, and some you'll have to book into. So there's going to be lots of events that are also linked to the show. I think that's really great because, like, I do kind of see my work as really playful. So it's really nice to have a really playful response to it. So I think that will work really well. Yeah,
and I suppose it goes back to what we were saying about, well, obviously, like yourself, the interest in art was there from a very young age, and then you were fortunate enough to be able to progress with it, like, and maybe, you know, obviously learn and go to college and all that. But again, it's just maybe that thing about hooking people in to a degree, or giving them the opportunity to engage with it, like, and maybe explore more. And I've often said, like, this thing about when they say get them young, you know, if you get them when they're young, you know, they might continue on. But again, it's just, you know, what you're saying there about that engagement thing, is somebody taking the time out to maybe listen or explore with them their interest, and maybe from that then later on then we would have the artists of the future.
Totally. And I also think, you know, it's also giving young people an opportunity to see that art isn't, you know, just the Mona Lisa or, you know, like really, you know, landscapes or drawing, which is obviously one huge part of what art is, or what art has been, or what art could be. But it can also be so many different things. It can be making, it can be exploration of shapes, it can be so many different things. And I think even actually for me, when I was in school, I didn't do art.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't even do art in secondary school. Yeah, so I'm not really interested in drawing or representational drawing.
Right.
It's not something that I'm in. So I just thought I'm not good at art.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I didn't do art in school, not primary. Well, obviously I did in primary, but not in secondary school, not for my leaving cert. And I was interested in photography when I moved to London. That's what I was originally going to do. And then when I was doing my foundation course, like my portfolio course, I discovered screen printing. And it was like, okay, I found it, you know. I kind of not fell into it, but, you know, I thought I wanted to do one thing, which was photography, and I found printmaking. So, you know, I think a lot of kids might be discouraged because they're not really, you know, in primary school teachers, they're not art teachers, they're not trained, you know, how to teach art properly. And nowadays, as opposed to my day, there's loads of opportunities for artists to come into schools and do workshops. So I think it's really changing. There's, you know, the TAP program and the BLAST program, where artists do residencies in schools, which I've done before. They're amazing. So kind of just showing young people that creativity can manifest in so many different ways. It's not just being good at drawing, which is obviously fantastic. If you are good at drawing, brilliant. But that's not just what it is.
Yeah.
So...
You know, because that's interesting, like that, it's not confining, you know, like, because as you said earlier on there, we always have this idea about if you can't draw, or, you know, in the norm scheme of things, that maybe then there's no place for you maybe in the art world. But it's interesting when you say that and you put it that way, that there's so many different formats now and ways. And even like when you mentioned, I think in a way, like about, I don't know, again with digital, which is something that I suppose we wouldn't have had X number of years ago, but digital, I don't know if there's such thing as digital art or people creating that, but it just gives that opportunity for more people to do it differently.
Oh, definitely. Like even using, like in my process, I would do a lot of sketching on my iPad.
Okay, right. Yeah.
iPads are brilliant. You can just carry them around your bag. You can be sitting on the train, with you've got all the colours you need. You've got all the brushes you need. You have like a sketchbook, a digital sketchbook full of thousands of ideas. So, it's definitely a tool that I would use. And I also use laser cutters in my process and CNC readers to cut out shapes. So I really do like to integrate technology into my process. So I think there's all that kind of new enough area kind of opening up where you're kind of merging, making like hand making with digital processes, which I find really interesting. So yeah, it's changing. Things are changing.
It's there for everybody, and it's all for the good. Okay, like I said at the start of the show, I know you're busy because I know even busy like trying to put that art on the walls for the exhibition.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I do have help installing I mean, not even help. It has been installed for me.
Okay.
So that was a real weight off my mind, briefly installed.
Yeah. But somebody had to decide what walls it was going onto.
Oh yeah, that was myself and Niamh. Yeah, and it took us a long time, but I think we made the right decision. I think it looks good.
Okay.
There's so many different combinations you could go for, but it looked great.
Okay. And like I said, that exhibition is opening across the road in Draíocht on the 11th of June and will run until the 20th of September. And I wish you the best of luck. I hope to be there. I hope to be there myself.
Brilliant.
At the opening. And
look forward to seeing you there.
And like I said,
everyone's welcome.
Everyone's welcome. There you go. Well, the D15, you might be sorry about that if everyone turns up. But like I said, either way, like with the big windows, and of course we're always trying to encourage people to go into Draíocht and to look at the art, and you never know, maybe at some point in the future the opportunity will be talking to a future artist like who was inspired by yourself.
Oh, brilliant. I hope so.
Okay.
And guys, it's also on all summer, so if you can't make it on Wednesday, it's on until the 20th of September.
It's the 20th of September, yeah, and that's the good thing. There's a bit of time there. It's not like in and out the door.
Yeah, you can even go and see it a few times.
You can go in and gaze at it for as long as you want. Maria, I'm going to attempt your surname again, so I want to thank you, Maria Atanacković, for coming on the line, and all going well. We wish you the best of luck with that exhibition.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me,
Okay,
Jeff.
mind yourself.
Take
no
care.
problem. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Now, like I said, that was the upcoming artists there going to exhibit opening on across the road in Draíocht from the 11th of June onwards.